Hello everyone. Thanks for joining me here today. Welcome. So I'm myself Soumya Sagri, from AWS, Principal Privacy Security Engineer from Seattle, Washington. Today I'm here to dive deep into how to reframe security events as a value add. And we will be learning in the next 20 minutes about how we reframe the hair on fire situation into pivotable knowledge gain and competency enhancing skills and continuous improvements in terms of reducing the security risk and also turning the crisis situation into a advantage and business accelerators and enablers. So let's move on to the next slide. So today I will also dive deep into the roadmap or a journey we are going to take is about an agenda. So understand the challenges, reframing the security events, like what kind of incidents we are going to face on a day-to-day basis and how are we actually handling those challenges from a reactive to the proactive mode and acknowledging that there is a reactive aspect of it and then converting that reactive aspect of acknowledging and embracing those challenges and reframing these security events using one of the best practice, we call it as COE, which is called as correction of error, which is considered as a mechanism. So then how do we use this mechanism, convert that into a pain to gain by using a real world scenario and a real world use case. We will see how to apply that COE mechanism towards it. And then we will also learn about out of this scenario, what kind of key lessons and takeaways we are going to learn about it. We will go over. Let's move further. So, okay. You're seeing the phone, a beautiful phone picture like mobile phone, and then there is an alert here. So imagine you at 3 a.m. in the midnight, like early mornings or midnight, you might be receiving security alerts or incident alerts, right? In that situation, like for example, there is a scenario like unauthorized access to your production services, which is an event, and then you are like rushing out of your bed, jolted awake, and then going to the screen, and then trying to look into what kind of alert is this? Are we like, it's an adrenal rush, constantly upbeating to look into the details of it, and then you're trying to figure it out how to fix it or how to control or contain this event, right? So how many of you actually experience such kind of security events or alerts in your experience? So please raise your hands. Thank you. So, and I acknowledge, and that's very normal, right? So it's like when we have an incident, the impact is very huge and big, and we need to actually contain it and control it very faster, very quickly in a right way. So, but now we are switching the lens. What happens next is what we are going to learn. So that's where we're going to move forward, and how do we convert this into a positive catalyst and enable the growth opportunities for us. It's a post-incident event management is what we're going to see today. So let's move further. So here I wanted to explain you like about, you can see on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you can switch and see the phoenix rising from the fire, right? So it's like, you actually encountered an event and an alert or an incident or a breach, you name it, like in a broader way, I can call it as an event. Like once the event is contained, so you are like handling from a reactive situation to the proactive situation, bringing everything into control is like immediate response and stabilization, right? So the post-incident analysis. Once you stabilize, next you are going to do analysis and learning. What are we going to do? How are we handling? So all those adversaries impact and the techniques they have used, how are we going to evolve out of it and learn from it, right? So and then systematic improvements. What kind of technical scenarios or process gaps we are going to identify and implement continuously to evolve and rise as a phoenix in much more in a stronger way. So let's move on to the next slide. So you can see a famous quote from Werner Vogels, the CTO of Amazon, Chief Technology Officer of Amazon. He mentioned a very important quote. Everything fails all the time. If you understand that things can fail, you will build differently. That means it hits the home run, right? I mean, everything fails. Nothing is everlasting. You need to evolve out of it. You need to repeat and build the systems constantly, learn from it, identify the growth areas, understand the key problem areas, and also understand where are the root causes enabling such kind of event. So that is where we need to fix the issues, that we need to have that mindset of, instead of blaming somebody else, we need to always have that psychological mindset that everything will fail, but the thing is, how do we shift the mind into reactive problem management to proactive solution identifying and innovation and growth perspective. So let's move further and see this. Like, I wanted to bring up a very important concept, right? In Japan, the artisans use broken pottery, honoring their past history. Right, you see a beautiful cup here, like a bowl, and then this bowl has, like, if the bowl is broken, and then you have cracks, right? Honoring the history of that bowl and how much use it has provided, and understanding the broken pieces, they combine together and they fill those cracks with gold. They make it very valuable. Like, it will showcase what we learned from what we broke, and then visible cracks tell stories of the impact and learning. And then we honor what it taught us, like event reveals systematic truths we couldn't see, and prevention make us stronger. The repairs which we create and the gold which we have used is more valuable. That means it evolved into priceless, and then it gonna give you more opportunities and also enable this particular pottery. I'm just trying to compare the analogy of broken pottery with the incident response, right here. So the event happened, and then what are these kind of systematic learnings, whatever you're carrying forward is going to build you that valuable bowl filled with gold. The cracks are filled, and then we can reutilize that, and then this becomes so valuable that you are actually prevent any kind of occurrences in the future with the same problem happens. Let's move further. So I wanted to talk about the most important thing here is about the mechanisms, right? Mechanisms is like, let me share what makes great teams even better. Like, so no matter how talented your people are, and then I know we all work with incredibly skilled professionals, and having a strong mechanisms helps everyone perform at their peak performance consistently. Think of it like a professional sports team, right? They keep learning this techniques and using this high definition sports relay constantly, correcting their errors and mistakes, playing it, and then getting stronger at it, how to outperform their opponents. So the similar way, these mechanisms don't diminish their talent, they enhance it. They also provide foundation for the innovation and flourish while maintaining reliability. At Amazon, our mechanisms are the bridge between operational efficiency and innovation and sustainability. So for the teams to operate from a better to the best, mechanisms are going to be stabilizing this process and then constantly helping the teams to work closely and bring efficiency and also enable consistent innovation. So how do we leverage these mechanisms? We're going to see going ahead. And then you can see mechanisms are not mechanisms versus not good intentions, right? Everyone always try to think positive, they will have a good intentions, but how much good intentions the teams have it, most of the time because of diverse perspectives or lack of knowledge or process constraints, they might go into sideways. So how do we fix that problem? One of the ways mechanisms. The mechanism is like inputs, as you've seen in the previous slide, inputs, tools, systems, and processes, which all together validation brings out the outputs, right? So there are different kinds of mechanisms. One of this is correction of error. Today we are going to cover in depth about that. And the second one is one-way or two-way door decision, working backwards, and tenants. Let's see this. Correction of error is something like having a high definition replay in sports. As I mentioned earlier, we don't just move mistakes. We just move from the past mistakes. We study them, improve our game constantly, right? So that's what is correction error. We will actually dive deep into this and how it's a powerful mechanism, how we are going to use This I will show it. One-way or two-way door decision. One way is like, think about it. I wanted to give you two scenarios. One is like stateless packet filtering, like firewalls, right? Firewalls, you're using WAF rules, you're using it. You're blocking a set of IP addresses which are exposed in a security incident, and you're blocking them completely, and then reversing that to like taking a decision of blocking them in totality and then going back and enabling them is a costly affair, right? Because it's like you need to investigate it, you need to make sure they're safe enough, and a lot of investment of time happens there. But two-way door decision is like very powerful, right? Think about it like a temporary contractors. I mean, you are giving a specific time limit for the access control policies for them to procure an access, or launching a product in a specific geography and testing them instead of launching in a global platform, and which you face regulations at the later stage and you need to reverse it back. It's going to be very cost intensive. That's why it's very important you wanted to make one-way decision or two-way door decisions. And then COE also enables working backwards. Working backwards is something like, you have a destination in your mind and you wanted to have a roadmap, and then you wanted to take that roadmap, build an itinerary, and what kind of mode of transportation, how much cost is going to incur, and how are you going to reach that destination is what the working backward is like. We work with the customers or your stakeholders or your business teams or other business units, solving these particular problems in a constructive way to build scalable solutions. And tenants is something very important, like in case of high uncertainty and ambiguity, you build rules that how to operate effectively within your boundaries. That's what this tenants mechanism. So let's move further. And then correction of error. So correction of error is, let's explore the correction of error, or COEs, our go-to mechanism, and systematically turning security incidents into continuous improvements. This is a mechanism for education, transparency, improvement, and growth. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you discovered a process flaw and thought it was like, I wish I had caught this sooner in the process? Right? So we always think about it, right? So we think like, okay, I haven't done enough research in the later stage, I was able to figure this thing out. Already the mistake happened. Now, how do I correct and I make sure that these mistakes or errors are not happening in a consistent manner, and control the bleeding or control the issue, the scope of the issue, impacting other areas, right? So let's move and dive deep into this scenario on correction of errors and use cases. We will go back to that 3 a.m. security alert, and we will use as a diving deep into the scenario. So let's move further. Here, correction of error is a systematic process. As I said, it's a mechanism and that identifies operational incidents, whatever the incident happened, identifying the problem and performing the root cause analysis. It's like 5 whys or fishbone diagram, kind of like understanding every single why until you find what exactly triggered that incident or an event, and implements preventive controls to eliminate the error occurrence. So I'm segueing and pivoting into the structure, how the correction of error structure looks like here. It's like you have summary metrics, customer impact, incident response analysis, post-incident analysis, and timeline, and 5 whys and lessons learned, right? So there are so many aspects to it. And then it's not about, each one unreveals what made this thing to happen, or which team actually have a gap to actually trigger this incident, or what external factor actually impacted this. You're going to look into many scenarios around this, but I'm going to consider 3 important things out of this as the impact, timeline, and 5 whys, and eventually they will lead to the takeaways and lessons learned. So let's remember that 7 a.m. unauthorized access to the production servers, right? So let's go back and dive deep into a hypothetical 3 a.m. scenario. Like here, what happened is, let's put COE into action with a real world use case, probably feels familiar to many of you. Our AWS IAM Access Analyzer flagged a Lambda deployment with excessive permissions, an overprivileged function that could have created security risks. And it sounds routine, right? But there were interesting, instead of treating this as another security flaw, we are looking at 3 aspects to solve here. The Lambda deployment provided excessive permissions. One is the technical gap, and the second one is security best practice gap. The best practice gap is about like the IAM Access Analyzer flag the risk which we do not provide the least privilege principle is not enabled here. And the third one is the escalations, where we are trying to see process improvement. How can you deploy this thing? How the system deployment process can be enabled? Who are the validators? Who are the decision makers? Whom need to be escalated? And how is the executive supporting on this thing? What kind of roles or racy chats need to be created for this to mitigate this, right? So this is the scenario. So let's move further, and then let's go back to that our COE mechanism like we have seen. I picked from the structure 3 important things. One is the impact, and one is the like root cause analysis, and 3 whys, right? So and then we will look at customer impact, business impact, security impact. Customer impact is like how is your stakeholder experience looks like, and business impact is like, how are the operations and delivery, and security impact is like what kind of risks we are going to experience out of this. And then reliability impact is how sustainable and scalable your systems are performing at the, are you able to have the business continuity if it is exposed. And then cost optimization, if you make the resources access permission changes, what is my consumption looks like, right? So this is about impact. And then timeline of series. In this, you see the timeline of series from June 1st to June 15th. Like you see, there are 2 important things to look into it. One is the process optimization, and the other one is pattern recognition, right? So the Lambda function deployed excessive IAM permissions was identified on June 1st, and then June 5th, actually the risk was flagged by IAM analyzer. Let's say, for example, the opportunity is here is a pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is nothing but automation opportunities. That how can you automate to trigger this flag as soon as possible on the same time when it was deployed. And second one is the process optimization. Process optimization is nothing but mean time to fix or mean time to resolve. One is to mean time to identify and mean time to resolve, right? So these kind of techniques you need to use in terms of understanding the timeline series, what exactly happened in the whole scenario. From it, day 1 to day end, how are we resolving this thing, right? So let's move further. So if you can look into this, like the root cause analysis, as I said, it's like similar like a fishbone diagram. You need to keep asking first why, second why, third why, fourth and fifth why, until you identify all the problem areas. One is excessive permissions, and then second why is like you need to actually create a least privilege, removing all the wild cards for the resources you are trying to provide access. And third why is about understanding the required IAM permissions, creating a RACI chart. And fourth one is providing a comprehensive guidelines and training material for your employees to understand their permissions. And fifth is like you need to have a bar raiser or a security validation kind of process. And then now we are coming to the corrective actions, whatever I have explained earlier. Like you can see here, excessive permissions, and then validation tools to be enabled, and then security training and certification program, developing comprehensive security best practices, and then making sure that you have launching a bar raiser program or security champion or someone in your team actually validating those permissions as per your business needs. That is how you're going to correct all these 5 whys. Now you can see the improvements in a constructive order. So you have your business owners can make the decision, or your executives or your security experts, engineers can make the decisions about how do they correct it from not only the technical finding point of view, process gaps, and which can even lead to further innovation. So then, of all these corrective actions, the team started working together collaboratively, and they came back with other teams adapting the linting mode, like CF and NAG. They identified tools where they can check before even deploying this permissions, right? And then spanned across cross-organization working groups for permission hygiene. So not only about sharing the guardrails, you have a centralized team you have created called Center of Excellence, and the guardrails are built, and then these guardrails are deployed by using a dev kit which was built for scaling through other business units and business organizations for their consumption. And then that's how the COE initiative has been widely adapted and have a positive impact on the organization technology practices, improving code quality, security, and operational efficiency. It is not only the security, it is going to impact other parts of the organizations and other domains as well. So finally, Instance response is a team sport, and it is all about speed to resolution and reduces response time from data to minutes, from Hart Rossman, from GSS, from Amazon Web Services. It's all about, you build the efficiency by working together collectively and bring the results by utilizing these mechanisms. And then these are the key takeaways. So the one is the feedback loop you are establishing, two-way door mechanisms, and the tenants to operate in high certainty environment, and working backwards with your stakeholders and customers constantly. And then these are the cultural reinforcement and the shift of the mindset. I said it's not only about fixing the security problems, but it is also translate one-off fixes into shareable solutions and transform customer relationships. And also COE is a teaching tool, and it is along with the mechanism, and it is not a blaming tool or pointing fingers at each other. So this is a mechanism to scale the culture, and it is not only about the code. And then I wanted to give you a learning resource. Now you have seen how the COE mechanism works. So in a structured way, you can deep dive into this by using this available AWS blog post. And then you can just start implementing this right away in your organization, where you can see the results, and then you can start identifying the opportunities going forward. So thank you very much for your attention and time here today, and have a wonderful day, and happy to connect. Have a nice day. Thank you.